revealed the incredible transformations of 7 ginger cats that shock and inspire at night. The world buzzed with excitement when the local news broke the story. 7 ginger cats, each with its own tale of neglect and desperation, were ready to showcase their remarkable transformations. Belayed. Sarah knew that these furry misfits would lead her on a journey far more profound than any news headline could capture. Sarah, a single mom of 2, felt the weight of the world on her shoulders every day. Sitting in her cramped apartment in Hazleton, she looked at Emma and Noah. Their laughter echoed in her ears, but fear curled tightly around her heart. Since losing her job as an office manager, tight finances left no room for error. Eviction loomed like a dark shadow. Yet, amidst gnawing desperation, the vibrant community center became her sanctuary. It was where she found hope, friendship, and, most importantly, the chance to help those ginger cats. When Sarah first met the cats, they were a disheveled bunch, matted fur, sad eyes, and skinny like frail twigs. Each cat had its own story, a child's cruel abandonment, another's brush with illness, while another had been thrown out for simply being different. Sarah's heart ached for them. They resonated with her struggle. Holding Noah's small hand, she whispered, "We can help them, buddy. We can make a difference." As the days rolled by, the kids filled their evenings nursing the cats back to health. Emma giggled while they fed them tiny morsels of food, her joy infectious. Noah would stroke their backs, and they purred back to life. With every cat that thrived, Sarah felt her purpose rekindle. The connection they formed became a beacon of hope for her children, teaching invaluable lessons about love, resilience, and the strength that comes in caring for those who can't care for themselves. But just when it seemed they were finding their footing again, disaster struck like a thunderclap. A developer announced plans to pave over the community center, the lifeline for the cats, and their very beloved neighborhood. Panic gripped Sarah's chest. The fundraiser she organized drew barely a dozen faces from a community that had once felt vibrant. Self-doubt crept in, leaving her to question, had she failed? But the spark reignited when her neighbor, Linda, shared her own heartbreaking story of losing a home and what it meant to be uplifted by friendship. In that moment, Sarah realized they were not alone in their struggles. The community stories started weaving together like a safety net, reminders of shared strength. As the sun dipped below the horizon, she saw glimmers of hope flicking within their eyes. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Finding her voice, Sarah called for a town meeting, her heart thumping. She looked into familiar faces, sheer grit painted across them. As the discussion sparked, doubt sprouted and murmurs of opposition rose. But then, as Sarah grew overwhelmed, a surprising voice broke through, an unexpected ally revealing a connection to one of the ginger cats. The room hummed with energy as hope roared back to life. For Sarah, the pressure of being a single mother, a community leader, and a fighter for justice collided, leaving her on the verge of something profound. How would she harness this emerging unity to save not just the cats, but the bonds holding them all together? The town hall filled with an intoxicating blend of energy and anxiety. As Sarah stood at the front, she felt each pulse of the crowd pushing her closer to the edge of something bigger than herself. Faces turned, eyes filled with curiosity, hope, and more than a little skepticism. She steadied her breath, ready to rally them, and her resolve deepened. "Thank you all for coming tonight," she began, her voice wavering only slightly. "I know many of us are struggling, but tonight we're not just fighting for a community center. We're fighting for each other and for those who can't fight for themselves." A murmur rippled through the crowd. She could see Emma looking up at her with wide, hopeful eyes, while Noah clutched a ginger cat in his arms. It was one of the younger ones they had rescued, its little heart racing in synchronization with the camaraderie blossoming around them. "I want to share something about this little guy," Sarah said, nodding to Noah. "He represents our community spirit. Just like him, we can thrive when we together." From the back a voice shot up. "But what difference can we really make?" It was Mark, a man who'd lost his job in the recent factory closures. "We're powerless against big developers." The air grew thick with tension. Sarah felt an ache in her chest as she registered the discouragement. She couldn't just let this be another defeat. "Mark, I understand the fear. It's real, and it's heavy, but we have the power to change this story. Just look at our cats. They each had a story of struggle, and yet they're transforming. We can transform too." An older woman, a longtime resident named Mrs. Jenkins, joined in. "I've lived here for over 3 decades. This place is our home. When I lost my husband, this community helped me. We can't just let it slip away." Sarah's heart swelled at the voices joining in. One by one, people began to share their stories of hope, of support, and of love they found in the community. Each narrative formed a tapestry of resilience, stitches of shared experiences binding them stronger than before. As the crowd began to rally, Sarah noticed that a young girl beside her raised her hand, timid yet determined. "Can we have a bake sale? My mom used to do those. People loved them." Encouraged by the idea, Emma chimed in and we could make kitty-themed cookies. Laughter bubbled, breaking the heaviness. Together, they imagined potlucks, car washes, and even a community yard sale to rally funds. The idea of unity blossomed, and Sarah felt a flicker of hope coaxing her heart. But then she saw Linda at the back of the room, motioning for her to follow outside. With a quick glance around, Sarah moved to the door, her nerves stirred by the unexpected urgency. "What is it?" "Linda." "I just spoke with someone," Linda said, her eyes wide and serious. "There's more at stake than just the community center. You need to hear what else this developer is planning." Sarah's heart stopped for a moment. The stakes were higher than she had thought. For every cat they fought for, there would be more to uncover. What had she unwittingly stepped into? As the weight of the news settled over her, Sarah's breath hitched. Was she ready to confront a challenge far more daunting than saving a few cats? The answer flickered in her chest like a flame, unwavering and fierce. She would fight for them, all because this was bigger than just her family. It was about forging a future that embraced everyone who called this place home. Just then, a rush of determination washed over her. "I'm in," she whispered. What new avenues awaited on this journey filled with unforeseen obstacles? The real fight had only just begun. The evening air outside the town hall was heavy with anticipation. Sarah could feel the pulse of the community through the chill, each heartbeat echoing her own racing thoughts. She turned to Linda, whose eyes, usually filled with warmth, were now clouded with concern. "Tell me everything," Sarah urged, her voice steadier than her racing heart. Linda glanced around, ensuring they were alone before she spoke. "I heard from someone who works with the development group. They're not just planning to tear down our community center and build apartments. They want to level the whole block, businesses included." "What?" The words hit Sarah like a punch to the gut. "Every shop, the diner, the bookstore." Linda nodded gravely. "Every place." They planned to replace it with luxury lofts and a corporate plaza. It's all about profit for them. A rush of anger surged through Sarah. This isn't just about a center anymore. It's about our history, our community. "I know," Linda replied breathlessly. "And they're confident they can bulldoze over us, literally." "We need to organize, Sarah. We have to show them we won't just sit back and watch." Determination settled in Sarah's stomach, solid and unyielding. She could picture the faces of the business owners, each with dreams tied up in their little shops. Their lives mattered. "Let's go back in," Sarah said, her voice a whisper yet filled with urgency. "They need to know what's coming. We can't let fear win." As they re-entered the hall, the mood was lighter, laughter and chatter ringing through the air. But Sarah knew it was an illusion. The threat was lurking just beyond their walls. She climbed back onto the makeshift stage, taking a deep breath as she opened her mouth to speak again. "We have something urgent to discuss," Sarah began, capturing everyone's attention. The room grew quiet, anticipation heavy like winter snow. "The plans for our community center are about to get much bigger. We're fighting for more than a place to gather. We're fighting for our town." Gasps and murmurs spread through the crowd. She continued, feeling the fire in her belly rise. "I just learned that the developers plan to demolish not only the center, but also the local businesses that make this community a home." Voices erupted, some in disbelief, others in anger. Mark, who had questioned her before, stood, clenching his fists. "We can't let them do this. Our town is worth fighting for." "Yes," Sarah exclaimed, feeling the echo of his words in her own heart. "We can use our love for this place as our armor. We can organize. We'll gather signatures, hold meetings, and take our stories to the town council." A cry of agreement rippled through the crowd, igniting a fierce wave of energy. Sarah felt it wash over her like sunlight breaking through heavy clouds. As people shouted ideas, more voices joined in, each one adding to the chorus of resilience. Then she spotted Emma, now holding up the ginger cat like a trophy. "And we can use the bake sale to raise funds for a campaign." Another wave of laughter followed, and it only fueled their momentum. "Let's put together a committee," suggested Mrs. Jenkins, enthusiasm in her voice. "We can have regular meetings, teach everyone how to lobby for our town." The air sparkled with hope and purpose. Together, they felt they could face anything, even developers with deep pockets and heavy machinery. But just as the spirit began to swell, a shadow crossed through the crowd. A figure lingered at the doorway. Something about The man struck a chord of unease in Sarah's chest. The stern expression, marked with certainty, hinted at his own mission. What role would he play in this fight? The building buzzed with the ideas of a community reborn, but outside, a storm was brewing. And it wasn't just about buildings getting knocked down. It was about everything they held dear. Where did he come from? Linda whispered beside her, sensing the shift in energy. Sarah squared her shoulders and let the resolve wash over her again. She could feel the stakes rising. They were stepping into dangerous waters. I guess we'll find out, Sarah said, eyes locked on the stranger. There was more to this fight than she had realized. A reckoning was looming. Would they be ready for whatever came next? Hope surged through Sarah as she stood on the stage, her heart pounding. The crowd buzzed with determination, but the presence of the stranger loomed heavy in the air. Who was he? Did he represent the development group? As she glanced around, the excitement flickered for a moment. The focus shifted from camaraderie to unease. Linda's eyes darted toward the man at the door. The laughter faded, replaced by murmurs full of speculation. What do we do if he's here to intimidate us? Linda whispered, her voice trembling slightly. We stand our ground, Sarah replied, trying to sound more confident than she felt. He can't break our spirit. The man stepped forward, his tall frame cutting through the chatter like a knife. Excuse me, he said, his voice sharp and clear. I think it's time someone addressed the reality of your situation. Gasps erupted from the crowd. Sarah straightened, ready to confront him. And who are you to dictate our reality? She shot you back, hanging over. I'm David Carter, he said, as he revealed a badge clipped to his belt. I work with the development team. And frankly, you should all be prepared for what's coming. Stunned silence enveloped the room. It felt like the air had been sucked out, replaced by annoying fear. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. You think you can just come in here and scare us into submission? We're not backing down. David raised a hand. I'm not here to scare you, but to show you that you're fighting a losing battle. The plans are already set in motion, he said. What you're trying to protect isn't sustainable. Change is coming, whether you like it or not. Anger flared in Sarah's chest. How dare he reduce their beloved community to mere business terms? You're wrong, she cried. This isn't just about buildings. It's about us, our lives, our stories. You can't just erase that. The crowd began to rally behind her once more, voices rising in unity. Our history matters. Someone shouted, we won't let it go without a fight. David's expression shifted slightly, but he remained unfazed. I understand your passion, but reality doesn't bend for emotions. I suggest you save your energy. You'll need it when the bulldozers arrive. Fear trickled into Sarah's mind, but resolute determination swallowed it whole. We're stronger than you think, she declared, her voice ringing out with defiance. We will organize. We will refuse to be silenced. As the crowd erupted in cheers, Sarah felt a rush of adrenaline. The stranger wasn't merely an obstacle. He had sparked something deeper within them all. But then, Linda pulled at her sleeve, worry etched on her face. Sarah, we have to think strategically. We can't just charge into this without a plan. You're right, Sarah said, calming her racing heart. We need to gather information, build a case, and show them the heart of this place. Our community isn't just walls and windows, it's the people. Emma stepped forward, a glint of mischief in her eyes, and we'll have the best bake sale this town has ever seen. Everyone will hear our stories and see why they should care. And just like that, they began to strategize, a buzz of ideas sparking throughout the hall again. Yet, even amidst the chaos of newfound hope, the weight of David's warning clung to the back of her mind. As the energy pulsed around them, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this fight would take more than grit and spirit. It would require the truth, and sometimes the truth came from the unlikeliest places. The gathering felt powerful, but in the back of her mind, unease lingered. What if there were layers to David's words that they hadn't yet uncovered? Would they be ready for the revelations that lay ahead, ready to face not only their greatest challenge, but the very essence of what it means to fight for home? As she whispered plans with her friends, Sarah felt a warmth growing in her heart. They would fight together. But what answers would they find when they unearthed the truth? Would it unite them more fiercely or tear them apart? The next morning, Sarah felt a sense of urgency as she paced around her small kitchen. She could still hear the echoes of last night's meeting, the cheers, the laughter, and the resolve. But beneath that, the weight of David's words pressed heavily on her mind. Change was coming, and it felt unbearable. As the sun streamed through the window, she glanced at her phone. A text from Linda blinked on the screen. Emergency meeting. We need to figure this out together. With a quick bite of toast, Sarah rushed out the door. The weight in her chest started to lift. Each step toward the community center felt like a step toward reclaiming their future. Arriving, she found the familiar sights of her neighbors gathering. Excited chatter filled the air, yet an undercurrent of tension lingered. Sarah noticed Emma standing by the snack table, balancing a precarious tower of cookies. Look at this sweet mountain of inspiration, Emma exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. I figured if people can't resist the cookies, they'll want to hear about our home. Great idea. Sarah replied, the corners of her mouth lifting. But the distraction was short-lived. At that moment, Linda rushed up to them, her brow furrowed. Guys, we need to be careful, she warned, her voice low. I overheard parts of a conversation at the cafe. People are afraid of what's coming. If we don't show them we're united, they might stay silent. Worry flickered in Sarah's heart. What if fear silenced them? What if David was right, and they really were fighting a losing battle? But her stance grew stronger, fueled by memories of shared laughter on warm summer nights and the countless faces of neighbors who stood beside her. If we come together, we can turn their fear into strength, she said. People need to see our stories aren't just moments, they're our legacy. With a deep breath, she rallied the group into a circle. All right, folks, we need to brainstorm like crazy. We can share our stories through photos, memories, anything that captures what our community means. Voices quickly ignited. What if we make a mural? Someone suggested. Let's have a storytelling night. Another chimed in. The energy surged, and Sarah felt her blood pulse with vigor. They were alive with creativity and courage. As plans morphed into spectacular ideas, Sarah felt hope swell. This was more than just a fight against bulldozers, it was a celebration of who they were. With every laugh and brainstorm, Their unity solidified like the foundation of their homes. Then, just as they were about to tackle logistics, a shadow fell upon them. David stood at the edge of the group, arms crossed, a smug look on his face. Still think this little get-together will change anything? You're wasting your time. The chatter died down, the mood shifted. Sarah met his gaze, refusing to show weakness. We're not wasting time. We're building a wall of strength. You may have plans, but you don't know the heart of this community. David's expression darkened but held a taunting edge. You think that heart will protect you when the time comes. Cute, but naive. Unwilling to back down, Sarah stepped forward. You may underestimate us, but we'll show you how powerful our community can be. With that challenge hanging in the air, a hush fell over the crowd, every eye glued on David. For a moment, it felt as if they had shifted the balance of power just slightly. But what would happen when push came to shove? Would their newfound determination be enough against the realities of the plans already in motion? As David turned to leave, Sarah felt both anxious and invigorated. The fight was only beginning. Would they uncover the hidden truths that could change the narrative completely? What other surprises lay ahead in their quest for resilience and connection? As the meeting dispersed, the warmth of shared ideas lingered in the room. But Sarah couldn't shake off the lingering discomfort of David's parting words. They gnawed at her, but she knew she had to focus. As the neighbors chatted in clusters, she felt a tap on her shoulder and turned to find Linda, looking concerned. "Sarah, are you okay?" Linda asked, her eyes scanning the room for signs of doubt. "I will be," Sarah replied, trying to sound confident. "We just need to keep pushing forward. We're stronger together." Linda nodded but didn't seem convinced. "I just wish we could get through to everyone. Some of them are too scared or angry to do anything." The weight of those words sunk in. Sarah turned her gaze back to the crowd, noticing the uncertain glances and tight smiles. The momentary energy from their brainstorming session was slowly fading away. The doubt was creeping back in. She had to find a way to reignite that spark. "Let's take a walk," she said, gesturing for Linda to join her. As they stepped outside, they breathed in the fresh air, feeling the anxiety of the conversation slip slightly from their shoulders. "Do you think people can actually rally behind this?" Sarah asked, her voice softer, now as the sunlight shone on their faces. "I want to believe they can. But we've got to show them that this community is about more than just fighting back. It's about celebrating what we have," Linda said. "We should find those stories, the moments that brought us all together in the first place." The idea snapped into Sarah's mind like a puzzle piece falling into place. Yes, we could hold a series of memory nights. People can come share their best stories. It'll remind them what we're fighting for. A small smile spread across Linda's face. Take pictures. Show the real heart of our community. Let's put it out there. With renewed energy, they hurried back inside, gathering their neighbors together again. Sarah stood up, her heart racing as she spoke. "All right, everyone. We want to invite you all to share your favorite memories about our community. Let's show everyone what makes this place special." Little by little, skeptical faces began to brighten, and the crowd murmured with excitement. Ideas flowed as people imagined the nostalgia of summer barbecues, block parties. and spontaneous game nights, creating a fabric of connection that tied them all together. But just as plans solidified, the door swung open. A group from the town council entered, their expressions stern. The atmosphere shifted again, a chill creeping over the room. Sarah's stomach dropped. "What's this?" one council member asked, scanning the room. "Another gathering. You know that our timeline for development is still moving forward, right? These meetings don't change that." Sarah's heart raced. "We're just sharing our stories." "It's about community. Community," he scoffed. "You can't stop progress when it's already in motion, no matter how many cookies you bake." A silence fell over the room as murmurs of discontent rippled through the group. Sarah clenched her fists, feeling the fire inside her grow. David had put doubt in their hearts, but this council member was putting fear in their minds. Would they let this intimidation snuff out their newfound spark? "Everyone, we must stand together," Sarah shouted, surprising even herself. "We're not going to let anyone tell us our voices don't matter." The tension hung thick, but she saw the flickers of agreement in the crowd. With every second, their resolve seemed to strengthen. Could this moment be the catalyst they needed to fight back? As the council members exchanged uneasy glances, Sarah could almost feel the tipping point approach. Would their united voices make the difference? And then, just as she found her footing, a familiar face stepped through the door. It was Emma, holding a stack of brightly colored flyers, her eyes burning with determination. "I've got an idea that might just turn this whole thing around." What would she propose? Would it be the spark they needed to make their voices heard? Emma stepped forward, her presence igniting a fresh wave of curiosity. The council members looked skeptical, but the room's energy had shifted. Sarah could feel the attention pivoting toward Emma as she unfolded the colorful flyers, each one bursting with a sense of hope. "Everyone," Emma began, her voice steady despite the tension. "I want to host a community festival, something big. We can gather stories, showcase local talent, and really bring our community together. This isn't just about the past. It's about our future." A buzz of excitement rippled through the crowd. Sarah felt her heart swell. This was it, the spark they needed. Emma continued, her enthusiasm contagious. "Think about it, booths from local businesses, live music, workshops, even storytelling sessions where everyone can share their best memories. We could even invite families who have lived here for generations to talk about what this place means to them." "What an incredible idea!" Linda exclaimed, her eyes lighting up. "A festival can show how passionate we are about preserving our community." Sarah nodded, feeling invigorated. The festival would serve as a canvas painted with connection and celebration. It could redefine how they viewed each other as neighbors, not just individuals in a fight against development. "But we have to act fast," Emma warned, glancing at the council members, now watching with cautious interest. "If we want to create real change, we need to organize everything, quickly recruit volunteers, gather sponsors, and get the word out." One of the council members scoffed, cutting through the excitement like a knife. "Do you really think a festival can change anything? You're wasting your time. Not if we all believe in it." Sarah shot back, her voice steady. "Together, we can make this work. A festival isn't just an event. It's a movement." It's a way to remind everyone that our community is worth fighting for, and we're ready to be heard. The murmurs intensified, flipping from doubt to determination. Sarah could see her neighbors exchanging glances, nodding at each other, feeling the momentum build. Emma handed out the flyers, the colors bright against the muted backdrop of the council members' stern faces. People began reading them aloud in excitement, sharing ideas and pitching their own suggestions. Laughter and chatter began to drown out the negativity that had threatened to darken the room. Suddenly, a voice broke through. A confident elder sat in the back, long known for his stories. I remember when this very spot was a place where neighbors came to help each other. We hosted grand potlucks, each of us bringing what we could. Maybe it's time we do that again. Exactly. Emma replied, her eyes sparkling. Let's make this festival a celebration of who we are, where we can share our stories and our lives. The room burst into agreement, a chorus of support ringing out. Ideas flowed as people began to consider who could help with logistics, who could donate food, and who had connections to local artists. It felt like a dam had broken, allowing their collective spirit to surge forth. But amid the excitement, a shadow loomed over Sarah's heart. What if the council wouldn't approve? What if they tried to crush this spark before it could catch fire? Let's set a date for our first planning session, Sarah declared, her voice resolute. We won't let anyone take away our chances to come together. We owe it to this community. Just then, someone outside began drumming a steady beat against a wall. The sound bounced through the room, drawing attention. Sarah turned to see a group of teenagers outside, their faces lit with enthusiasm. They were creating an impromptu street performance, pulling anyone who happened to walk by into their lively beat. As the rhythm swelled, Sarah felt hope welling up within her. Maybe this festival could unite them all in unexpected ways. But uncertainty loomed. Would the council stand in their way? Let's make the meeting count, Linda added, her smile infectious. And let's not forget the council's deadline. We need to speak to them soon. Who knows what they might decide next? A collective inhale filled the room as Sarah looked around at the faces shining with determination. They had the energy, but would it be enough? Would their passionate push toward this vibrant festival hold strong against the weight of bureaucracy? As thoughts raced through her mind, the door of the community center creaked open again. Everyone turned, holding their breath. What new challenge awaited them? A tall figure stepped into the room, catching everyone off guard. It was Mr. Thompson, the oldest council member, and everyone felt an electric jolt of mixed emotions. His gray beard and weathered face were familiar, yet today they seemed heavier with the weight of history. Sarah's heart pounded as she wondered what he would say. Emma, he started, his voice low but firm, you actually have something here. A festival could remind us of our roots. Hope ignited in Sarah's chest, but doubt crept back in. Could this be some attempt to throw them off track? Mr. Thompson continued, but I must remind you, the council has to consider the budget and how local businesses are struggling. Any idea needs the proper structure. Of course, Emma said, let's collaborate. We can create a festival that not only brings joy, but also supports local businesses. A win-win situation. Maybe. Mr. Thompson hesitated, sensing the crowd's insistent energy. But I've been in this town long enough to know that words won't change the council's stance. We need to prove it, show them we have the support behind us. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Sarah's mind spun. How do we do that? She whispered to Emma, her brow furrowed with concern. This festival needs a vision statement, clear goals, and tangible support, Emma asserted, taking a step forward as if to be a beacon. We should gather signatures, get stories from our community. Let's show the council that we have numbers of people who care. Linda crossed her arms, her eyes glinting with determination. We can set up a booth at the farmers' market. Get folks to sign on the spot. And we should involve those teenagers outside. They have energy, let's channel it. As more ideas began flowing, Sarah listened intently, her heart racing. There it was, the pulse of excitement, knitting the community closer. The door creaked open again, framing a group of teens in the bright sunshine. They were panting, red-faced from their street performance, but their excitement shone. We heard about the festival, one shouted. Can we help? Emma's face lit up. Absolutely. Join us. We want everyone on board. The teens cheered, and suddenly the air was electric with possibility. Each idea built upon the last, people clapping hands together and brainstorming. Suddenly, the drummer from outside stepped into the room, a bright grin on his face. Can we perform at the festival? Imagine us, live on stage, rallying the community. That was the moment Sarah felt a shift. It was more than just a festival now. It was a potential movement, alive and breathing. But just as their excitement crescendoed, the mood thickened again as a dark thought crossed Sarah's mind. What if the festival did happen, and it still wasn't enough to sway the council? What if they dismissed it as just another event? Let's not lose sight of the bigger picture, she said, trying to capture the spirits rising with each idea. We need to present a united front. Local businesses will need to see the benefits, and the council needs to hear our voices loud and clear. A collective nod of agreement came from the room. It was time to show that they weren't just fighting for a festival. They were reclaiming their identity, their legacy. As they mapped out their strategy, Sarah felt the swirl of emotions inside her excitement, mingled with fear. But a deep-seated hope began to anchor her. They were not just organizing a party. They were on the verge of something monumental. Minutes later, just when they thought they had covered everything, Mr. Thompson spoke up again. If you truly believe in this. He paused for dramatic effect, capturing their full attention. You might need to confront the council head-on, and it won't just be me you're dealing with. The room fell silent. No one had expected this twist. Would they muster the courage to challenge the entire council when the time came? As uncertainty filled the air, Sarah knew their real battle had just begun. Would their festival be a flame that brought everyone together, or would it fizzle out under scrutiny? And with that question lingering heavily in the air, she turned to Emma, ready for the next step. Are we really prepared for this? The answer lay ahead. And Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the coming days would change everything. As the weight of Mr. Thompson's words hung in the air, a palpable tension formed in the room. Sarah watched as her friends' faces shifted from eager anticipation to the sober realization of what was truly at stake. They were not just planning a celebration. They were launching a battle for their community's identity. Emma's eyes sparkled, the fire ignited by the challenge. Let's make a plan. We need to set a date for the farmer's market booth. We can meet again tomorrow to organize everything. Lucas, the quiet one always sitting at the back, broke his silence. What if we create a compelling story around the festival? Share why it matters to us, to our town. Exactly. A story that touches everyone's heart, Linda added enthusiastically, clapping her hands together as if the sound could join their resolve. Every idea spun around the room like a whirlwind. Sarah felt a tug at her heart. Conversations flowed, voices collided, and anticipation crackled in the air like static before a storm. Yet, amid the excitement, her worry simmered beneath the surface. We ready for this? She found herself thinking again. What if the council isn't swayed by our stories? What if we fail? Sarah, Emma's voice cut through her doubts, grounding her. You are one of the most passionate people I know. That passion needs to be part of our story. Nodding, Sarah felt encouragement bloom inside her. Perhaps she wasn't just a vessel for worry. She could be a beacon of hope for others. Time flew as they divided tasks. Some would gather personal stories, while others would strategize ways to get local businesses involved. Ideas flowed like water, laughter mingling with resolve. Outside, the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Just before they wrapped up, Emma stood and clasped her hands together. We've got a lot of work ahead of us, but I believe we can do this. We're stronger together. Together! The group chorused, and uncertainty faded momentarily into shared determination. As they began to disperse, Sarah felt a tap on her shoulder. It was the drummer from outside. Hey, I just wanted to say, you all have something special. This festival, it could change ring, right? Right. Sarah agreed, her heart swelling with a mix of excitement and fear. But, he said, a shadow crossing over his excitement, watch out for the critics. Some people don't want to see change. His words struck her like a lightning bolt, sending icy fingers down her spine. If the council didn't buy into their vision, if the townspeople weren't on board, what would it mean for all they dreamed of? That night, sleep stood no chance against her racing thoughts. Sarah tossed and turned, the weight of anxiety pressing on her chest. Futures danced in her mind, each one more daunting than the last. What if they poured their hearts into this festival only to be met with indifference? Would the stories of their community resonate, or would they fall on deaf ears? By morning, determination had returned with the rising sun. She picked up her phone and sent a message to Emma. Let's meet early. We need to have a talk about tomorrow. As Sarah prepared herself to share her concerns, little did she know that the council meeting they were gearing up for would reveal secrets lurking just beneath the surface secrets. That could change everything. With a heart pounding in sync with her racing thoughts, Sarah knew nothing would prepare them for what lay ahead. Would they be able to face the council? More importantly, would they uncover the truths hidden within their own community? The fight for their festival was only just beginning. The day of the council meeting dawned with a mix of dread and determination in Sarah's heart. As she straightened her jacket and looked in the mirror, she whispered to herself, "Today is the day we take a stand." She picked up the flyers Emma had created for the festival and tucked them into her bag. A tangible reminder of their shared dream. At The community center. The energy buzzed with anticipation. Neighbors arrived, their faces painted with a mixture of excitement and fear. Sarah saw Emma eagerly chatting with the teens, flipping through plans. Linda approached, her brow slightly furrowed. "Have you heard anything new about the council's stance?" Sarah shook her head, but inside, a knot of anxiety twisted tighter with each passing moment. Would their efforts really matter? Would the council hear their voices, or dismiss them as just another group of naysayers? As they rolled up to the town hall, Sarah felt a wave of resolve wash over her. The crowd gathered outside the building, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of afternoon light. Local businesses had set up tables showcasing their services, and the drumming crew animatedly prepared for their performance. It felt alive, vibrant. "Focus on the spirit of our town," Sarah reminded herself as they entered the hall. Inside, the atmosphere felt heavy, tense with a history that felt centuries old. The council chamber was draped in faux elegance, a facade struggling to hide the undercurrents of indifference flowing through the building. Striding to the front, Sarah caught sight of Mr. Thompson, sitting among the council members, his expression a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. "Let's show them what we've got," Emma whispered, squeezing Sarah's arm. As they took their seats, voices faded into silence. Mr. Thompson rose, addressing the gathering. "Thank you all for coming here today. Today isn't about just another meeting." His eyes scanned the faces, meeting Sarah's gaze, igniting a spark of hope. "It's about shaping the future of our community." That was it. Sarah felt a rush of energy surging through her. Each breath steadied her resolve. She was ready to present their community festival, a real force for change. One by one, their neighbors spoke, recounting fond memories tied to their homes, local businesses, and the community center. Each story stitched a bond of connection that resonated deeply with everyone present. Finally, it was Sarah's turn. As she stepped forward, the anticipation in the room shifted dramatically. "We're here because we love this town. We're not just fighting for a community center. We're fighting for our shared history, for the connections we all cherish. And that's why we've planned a festival, a celebration to not only preserve, but uplift this community's spirit." A ripple of agreement flowed through the room, heads nodding, a silent army rallying behind her. "The festival will showcase our stories," she continued, fueled by the energetic drum beats echoing outside. "It's about honor, joy, and togetherness. This is our opportunity to remind everyone that progress doesn't mean pushing aside the heart and soul of the people." Just then, David Carter stood up. She sensed eyes narrowing. "What you're proposing is a diversion. You think a festival can change the developers' minds. It's naive." Her heart raced, but she met his gaze with strength. "David, we're not naive. We're standing united. Each person here represents a story, a testament to why this town matters. You can't bulldoze over our heart." The crowd erupted in applause, a wave of support rising to encircle Sarah. Mr. Thompson leaned forward, his brows knitting in thought. "Perhaps there's merit to this. A festival could engage the community in ways we haven't explored before." The murmurs building in the room hinted at growing support. As the discussion deepened, one of the quieter council members spoke up. "This is about creating bonds, yes. But we also need to instill hope. We can help foster this sense of unity, not just among the residents, but also with other businesses and organizations. The momentum shifted again. More voices joined in, supportive and energizing, breathing life back into the gathering. Sarah's resolve blossomed with every demonstration of solidarity. They were not just fighting for survival. They were building a new identity. By the end of the meeting, a new understanding blossomed in the air. "We'll help you with the festival," Mr. Thompson declared, surprising everyone. "Let's find a way to bridge the gap between development and community spirit. Maybe we can weave some voices into the plans moving forward." Yes, it was happening. Unseen factors started to align like stars in the night sky, bringing soaring hope. As the meeting adjourned, Sarah felt tears prickling her eyes. The festival would no longer just be about protests against change. It was an invitation for community healing, an opportunity to unite under a banner of resilience. In the parking lot, cheers erupted, neighbors hugging, exchanging delighted words bubbling with excitement. "We did it!" Emma cried, her voice soaring with joy. "Yes," Sarah exclaimed, her heart bursting with pride. "We took a stand." As evening fell, and the laughter echoed like a song in their hearts, Sarah felt empowered a fierce belief that they could rewrite their narrative. But before they parted ways, she caught sight of Linda, wrapped up in conversation about logistics for the festival. "Before we say goodbye, remember what brought us here. Our community is more than bricks and mortar. It's the people who truly matter. Together, we're unstoppable," Linda agreed, a fire igniting in her eyes. And as Sarah looked around at the faces of her neighborhood, illuminated not just by the streetlights, but by a fierce spirit of unity, she knew this wasn't just a victory. It was a transformation. The weeks ahead would be a whirlwind of organizing, creating, and celebrating what made Hazleton home a powerful reminder that every heartbeat, every story counted. So now, as we wrap up this chapter in their journey, I want you to play a role in this story too. Subscribe immediately to this channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that inspire change. Leave a like now to help feed the algorithm and make sure stories like this one continue to get seen. Comment below with your reactions. How did this ending resonate with you? And don't wait, not even one more second, to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation and feel the power of community. Your support matters more than you know.